Thanks everybody for showing up tonight. Again, my name is Mitch Lepicello and I am the creator of the ASD Parenting Journey. And tonight I'm excited to talk about parenting your child with ASD from power struggles to problem solving. So we are going to have parents of kids that range from 5, 15, 25, whatever it is. Feel free to shoot out your question to Anna and she will summarize it or bring that question to me in some way, shape, or form, and we'll get it going. Okay, so we're on for 30 minutes. Last time we went over at the first webinar by about 10 or 15 minutes. We probably will tonight, but we'll try and stick to that 30 minutes as best we can. So, all right, let's start off with from power struggles to problem solving. Here we go. All right, come on, there we go. All right, so my definition of a parenting power struggle is this: the end result, or that negative consequence of challenges or barriers to communicate or resolve disagreements and differences in a positive way between you and your child. The end result or negative consequence. I want you to think about that first line, those first few words, because that's how we're going to try and help changing that power struggle. So the end result or negative consequence. Okay. So the power struggle versus a problem solving. What are these differences? Well, the power struggle is kind of inherent in the word struggle. It's a fight. It's a battle. It's emotional. There's authority and not authority, and you and your child. And so whenever someone says a power struggle, everyone has that same image in their mind of, oh, this is going to be a battle, you know, who won kind of thing. So it's that fighting to be in charge of whatever that situation is. And there's some situations where you do need to be in charge and you need to win those power struggles. So make sure I talk about winning those power struggles tonight too, because we do need to, when we engage them, we do need to win them. So we're mostly going to talk about problem solving. That's the more thoughtful, fighting for solutions to these barriers and challenges with your child. Well, everybody has a role. Wait a minute. Do we have any children in the audience? I don't see any, so it's all their fault. Yes, no, wait, that's not the right answer. Power struggles are, everybody has a role, right? So we as parents, we are challenged with the best way to communicate to our children for whatever it is they need. I just love that picture too, because that really does capture the power struggle moment right there. Maybe a severe one, but we've all been there, right? So, so our challenge as a parent is to work on communication. You know, a simple request like, will you please clean your bedroom, can lead to, you know, no way, Jose. And the child's role is, what do you mean? How am I processing that? How do I put this all together? Oh my gosh, I'm getting frustrated. Now I have to figure out what my emotions are saying and doing. And all of these things, when a child is unable to process this plan that you put together for them, the event, the task, the activity of the day becomes emotionally overwhelming. And all of these translate to that one famous word, no. In many languages, no. So everybody has a role. Let's figure out some more. Let's talk a little bit more about roles. Parents in a power struggle, they fight for what? Compliance and a child's acceptance to just do what I'm telling you to do. That's the parent fight. Come on, just do what I'm asking you to do. And the child is like, what you're asking me is too hard. Homework is hard. Tying my shoes are hard. Filling out a job application is hard. No, no, no. So those are where those roles get played out. Well, what sets off a power struggle for parents? Let's see, those first two bullet points are pretty emotional. Well, we do have a lot of worries and a lot of fears and a lot of emotions in parenting. It's all part of parenting, right? So parenting a child with ASD, I think in my experience working with a lot of families and kids with autism spectrum disorder, worry a lot more about what's going to happen to their child. How are they going to accomplish? Their developmental delays are noticeable to some and not to others. They're exceeding in some ways and not to other ways. So there's just a lot more angst and anxiety for parents of kids with ASD, and frankly, parents of kids with all kinds of differences in their child's developmental stage and growing up, and physical, emotional. We could kind of go off into a lot of different things, but basically ASD compared to neurotypical. What are the parent losses, and understanding how to communicate to their child with ASD. So parents are a little more prone to engage in a power struggle with kids with ASD than parents of neurotypical kids. So let's reframe. One of the R's in the CALM compass is reframe, and you'll find that under the A in CALM for articulate, which is not out yet, but reframe is changing our perception of that power struggle from a high stress and emotional fighting, battling out, I'm going to tell you what to do, to the more thoughtful prefrontal cortex. Let's come up with a plan. Let's devise how we're going to figure this out. A problem that needs to be solved. All right. Let's go over a couple of characteristics of kids with ASD, because again, these characteristics do increase the likelihood of their challenges emotionally and behaviorally to get stuck a little more often. So sometimes the rigid thinking and their perception of how things are supposed to be. Challenges, of course, with sudden change and transitions. There's always transitions, there's always changes, and each one of them for our kids with ASD do create a snag of sorts. So we always need to be thinking of, what about this problem? What about the situation is ASD, and how can we overcome these? Challenges doing activities outside their area of interest. So they're not very flexible in different ways or different jobs and tasks. Again, from home chore type tasks to daily living skill type tasks, brushing teeth, well, you know all of them. And so in going through some of these characteristics, I'd like to hear from you about what are some of your child's challenges related to their, that can induce a power struggle. And we can talk about maybe winning some of those or working through some of those. So I'll keep going and you guys come up with some questions for Anna. The black and white thinking, the literal, that's more actually black and white sort of speaking as well. So the language, the literal communication can get kids stuck. Perspective taking. And of course, low frustration tolerance, quickly to irritate, quickly to get emotionally dysregulated. All those do increase. So it's not just your child, it's their ASD that does contribute, and we want to help them with that. So, all right, let's get to some of these tips. But before I do, I have some questions, some other questions for you guys, which is when do power struggles begin? And by that, I mean, think about from the day they were born. When do power struggles begin for kids and parents? I have my take on that, but I'd like to hear your responses. So Anne, if you have some responses coming through, feel free to just shout them out. When's the first time your child said, no, not doing that? And it might sound like a little no at the time. So you might have to go back for the kids who are bigger. When was the first time you said no? And if you think about those times, how are we using the word no, and what is that setting us up to win? Because those are the beginning of our power struggles.
So we do have a few responses, Mitch.
Great.
So we have, during online learning, he did not want to do activities that are hard, like writing. And then our main challenges with our 2 ASD kiddos are around the use of screens and transitions. Our kids are 12 and 14. And then I typed in the question that you asked, when did your power struggles begin? And we have three responses. The first, when it was new. The second, toddler age. And the third, preschool age.
Yay for those who went way back to toddlerhood and preschool. Yes, those are the first, the no's of toddlerhood. They're really no's are I can do it myself, aren't they? They're the first signs of your child trying to be independent. So they're trying to figure it out at that point. So those are actually your very beginning. So whoever said that was correct. Those are our first sort of moments of our very beginning power struggles. They don't sort of seem like it because we're big and they're little, but that's when it starts, guys. So, yep, some of the issues that trigger power struggles are anything education related, because there can be challenges in reading, writing, any kind of learning challenges, math, various kinds of dyslexia. I did not hear a sensory trigger, but many kids get triggered into power struggles around sensory strategies. So
yeah, we have chores, we have speaking, age.
Yep, chores. All right, so let's see. And the academics.
And we have the ever popular hygiene.
And the ever popular hygiene. Is that Terry? Thanks. Is that Terry? All right, yes, ever popular hygiene. Right. For those kids that are, well, there are the, starting out, just sort of taking care of your own body from a young person. And then as you engage into puberty and start that, then there are those challenges as well. So, all right, let's see if we can get to some of these examples in these tips here. So we have 5 of them. I think there might be some bonus tips at the end, so we'll get onto that. This is very self-explanatory, but it is my number 1. I can't really start this kind of talk without starting off with the first and foremost, stay calm and in control. Get calm and get control. We have to use this thoughtful, problem-solving part of our brain to help our child when they are struggling, when they are saying no, and whether it's the word literally no, or whether it's their nonverbal no, or any other version of no. Stay calm and in control. Tip number 2. Our kids need options and choices, not ultimatums and threats. We don't really want to activate the more dysregulated sort of sense that they get in a challenging situation. We don't want them to become more upset. So we want them to be able to choose. And in those choices are things that they might even come up with a third or fourth that we say, I didn't think about that. That I will include that in the third or fourth choice. So we want to give them options and choices about things. We want them to feel in control, and they're not in control, then they'll use that word again. And when our children lose some of that control, we see it in their emotions. Sometimes kids with ASD don't give us these wonderful facial features, these facial moments. More often it is muted or hidden in some way, and we need to reach for them because they have them anyway. Just because we can't see them, it still means that they have them. So we want to be wondering and asking and inquiring, hey, I said do this, but you went in the wrong direction to take out the recycling. You went towards your bedroom. I'm confused. What's going on? I don't want to do that. Oh, that's a no, right? So let's talk about, well, what it is about this. This is our usual time. It's a Tuesday evening when you put the recycling out. There's something really stinky in there. Oh, let's go check it out. I didn't know that. Come with me. Let's go do this. So speak to your child's emotions about that. Help them through that. Let's get a plan. Let's get a plan. If we find that things are common challenges, common barriers, let's come up with a plan to cover those challenges. Many of the things that they have difficulty overcoming are kind of the same from day to day. We don't want to treat them as each individual challenges. It's just too many. It's too overwhelming. So if we can group them together around hygiene, for example, let's make a plan to do hygiene for these kinds of every single day. Let's get into a habit. What do we need to do? And talk about it as a plan, not a way to avoid that confrontation. Any other questions so far on these tips here? We're running through them pretty quick, but there are lots of meat here in these plans. All right, lots of meat.
No questions yet, but if you want to put them in the chat, we can answer them.
Tip number 5. Change the confrontational body language. So often we are in our own nonverbal body language kind of way, intimidating or threatening, and we want to watch that. So any way of nonverbally kind of being more supportive, getting calm and in control inside helps us look calm and in control outside. And that helps them feel better about the situation. There are very few situations in your day that you need to respond to in a crisis or a hyper-reactive way. So I think what frightens most parents is the child's reaction to the request. So for example, if you make a request that is about time to do some reading because it's on your schedule. Well, their response might be completely out of left field. And that, I think, frightens us. We don't sometimes know what to do with that. And so then we're going to give a response back that is controlling almost our own response, but to our child. So my strategy, you guys, is this is their struggle. Leave it with them. Let's help them through it. If we're not in control, then we cannot help them. So we really want to be in charge of that. When their response or reaction is too big, you've heard things like, that was a really big emotion for this particular situation. Does this warrant, does this match? That kind of thing. So we can use different ways of talking about feelings and emotions. That no is really big for this job. You did this job already. I'm not sure why this emotion is so big for this job. So we want to be supportive to kind of get through that, to win those power struggles, and to be actually rehearsing how to be better problem solvers, because that's what all of this is really about. It's really about, not are they going to have some hangups, and not are you going to get stuck on things, because we're all going to get into power struggles at some point, but it's really helping your child with ASD be better at solving problems and be better at regaining emotional control more quickly. We don't want to teach them how to feel threatened or how their brain is going to be threatened. We want to teach them that they're good, they're smart, they're capable, they can come up with things as fast or faster than we can sometimes. And it's not that they don't know what to do, it's that they don't know how to do what they know how to do. So we want to help them with the how-to part, They know all of these things that you're telling them to do are the right things, are the correct things, but they struggle with the how to do it. And again, we might have to go back to some of those characteristics of ASD. It might not be on their schedule. There might be a sensory strategy in the way. What are those barriers and challenges to solving the problem, of doing what's expected? Does anybody have any specific ones, any specific questions that we'd like to try to solve here tonight? We have time to solve some problems. All right, I'm going to move on. You guys think of one, you can think of one anytime. And we'll move on to, again, the benefits to changing the power struggle, to reframing power struggles into problems to solve, really are these 5 key areas. We really want to help them with problem solving and critical thinking. Bring that into the fold a lot more than just doing what we're telling you to do. It's not enough to just do what we're telling you to do. I want them to know how it's going to help them, if they're interested. Social communication, so language skills is really important in this particular situation. So solving problems using language. They can't get enough interaction in a calm way on that, and I think solving problems helps them feel capable in their interactions, especially going forward, and might address some of those worries that we talked about, like what are they going to be like when they're living in a dorm or when they're in a relationship, a romantic relationship, those kinds of things.
Mitch, we do have some questions coming in.
Great.
Okay, what about situations where you can't problem solve, like for urgency, safety, etc.?
So, great question. There are those. And the reason we are moving from power struggles to solving problems is because there are fewer crises and emergencies in our life, in our day, than there are problems to solve. So we want to save our urgency, our need to, when I say you need to stop at the stop sign, that's critical. What kids do over time is become like we do, we become desensitized to no. So if we say no too often, it's going to mean less to children. So we want to get them to be thinking about things so that they can use their own brain to process. And then when those emergency situations do come up, we do have to be responsible for their safety. We have to be out front and protect them. And they will learn that those moments are almost a lot fewer and less than those times that they're solving problems. Those are power struggles that we do need to win.
And then a question from Catherine: how do you break out of a negative pattern that is a repeating power struggle? For example, we say time to get up, start the day, and she immediately starts the same negative tape each day. And there we go, off for the struggle.
Well, it's a great morning greeting. And what I would like to do is to, when that child is up and eventually getting going, meet with them on the side, and let's come up with a plan. So let's talk about, the mornings are a real struggle for you. What happens for you in the morning? Boy, when you were 10 or 9 or 10, you got up at 6 a.m. every day. We couldn't even, encourage you to get back to sleep. And now it's 10 and 11, and it's really hard for you to get up. What's happening? So inquire with them. They may not be aware of that, and they may be thinking something's wrong with them. And so we want to kind of understand what's happening there. So inquiring and then coming up with a plan, do alarms work, and feel free, whoever asks this question, feel free to follow up because it probably is going to benefit the other participants as well. But what else is going on there? Let's see if there's another tip we can use for that example. What are options and choices that they can use to help them You know, the option is for you to wake up, for me to wake you up, or for your alarm to wake you up. Which one would you like to use? Or we can use music to wake you up, or the screaming bell of an alarm, those kinds of things. So we're still holding the job accountable. We're still holding that as something that's expected. We're not changing that at all. And I think that's what a lot of people misunderstand is to help a child through these problems, we are changing what's expected. And we're really not. We're just helping them through that so that they can start doing this on their own. We're trying to grow independence, trying to grow a young adult. So that's how we're going to do it.
All right, and another question.
Yeah.
I try to have him problem solve with me. What if his solution alternatives aren't viable?
So let's do it together. So a solution of his might be, okay, I have one too, and let's do a test to see which one works. Let's start tomorrow. We'll do yours first and see if it works, and then we'll do mine the next day. So you know, there's probably a lot of things that I'm missing in that scenario situation, as they're all more complicated than a simple answer is going to remedy at this point. But what we want to do is to create together, create a, it's not a yours, it's not a theirs versus ours kind of solution. It's an our solution together. Or, you know, I see that you've tried that solution and it has not benefited you. It's not been effective. So let me add a bonus. I think it's time for a bonus tip. So let me add the bonus tip. This is the bonus tip. The bonus tip is rewards and motivators. We might have to use rewards and motivators to help a child over a challenge or a barrier that gets in the way of them solving the problem. And that's okay. Let's talk about that. Let's say this is a real sticky one for you. A lot of other challenges and barriers you have overcome, you have done wonderful at. This one is a sticky one, and we really need for you to, whatever it is, stick to your schedule, or pay attention to your hygiene, or does anybody have a good one out there that I haven't used yet? So what we want to do is in their sticky moments, try to motivate them and kind of get them back on track. So rewards and motivators are good at helping get kids back on track when they're stuck and struggling. All right. And
We do have another question.
yeah.
Katie says, I would like to address the big pile of stuff on his desk. How do I address, quote, I don't feel like it. It's fine.
Oh. So, so that could be an option of, well, this big pile of stuff. Now, sometimes the question is who is this? What is the purpose of my request? Is the request kind of necessary? Is it getting in the way of the family functioning? There might be, I heard one in the spring about kids who don't wear socks in their shoes, and then the odor is just affects everyone. So it's not a crisis, but this was a good example because it did affect everyone. So in Katie's example, the big pile of stuff might not affect the family and just might affect her son. Or there might be some important things in there that we need to kind of take care of. So we can all say, if you don't want to take care of this big pile of stuff, I will be happy to. I will know exactly what to do with this. And then they might say, because again, they have a propensity for don't touch my stuff. So that's where we have to be very, very careful to not get into a power struggle, because we want to win this. If this is something that we want to win, then we have to win this. And we can't win it with force. So we want to win it with collaboration. And sometimes it just takes a wearing down. Sometimes it takes some breaks in between. For example, if you have some options and choices, would you like to do it or would you like me to do it? How about if we start with the first half of this pile, and then another day we work on the next half of the pile. So I don't feel like it. I don't want to. I personally let those just kind of go past me. Those are no's to me. So I only respond to them as no. And what is a no for a child who's challenged? Processing, right? So any of those no's are difficulty processing what you're asking them to do. Overwhelming. I don't know what to do with it. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do with it. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do with it. So, and what you might hear is, oh, no, thanks for asking, Mom. I'm good. Like, wait, no, that's not an option. So keep at it. Keep at it. Any other questions?
Yes. From Suzanne, can you clarify the bonus tip with rewards/motivators? How do I reconcile the fact that I feel like I would be bribing my child? This teaches him to rely to do things for extrinsic motivators and want to prevent that being the only reason and want to encourage responsibility and adulting.
Thank you, Suzanne. So the difference between bribery and rewards and motivators is that one happens before the expectation, one happens after, and I'm pretty sure you got which one there. So the rewards are after the job and the tasks are done. And your communication with your child is, I want to reward you. We are all rewarded and motivated by things that are difficult to achieve and accomplish. So it's not just children, it's all of us. And we kind of do our own, when we get better at it, we do our own kind of reward, like, I ran, I'm going to have an ice cream. That's my motivator. So for children, you're trying to get them over a sticky spot, a challenging situation. So of course, not all tasks, jobs that are challenging need rewards or motivators. So let's be thoughtful about that. And let's pay attention to the ones that are particularly important to achieve. It could be an activity of daily living skill. It could be a particular kind of subject in school where homework is very difficult, projects, those kinds of things that are more difficult, or writing. It could be changing from pajamas in the morning and transitioning to sort of getting ready for the day clothes, your play clothes. So rewards and motivators are something that aren't a secret. Let's use them to help them get over the hump, and then they can be done. So they're not something that we need to. And some kids give themselves their own rewards and motivators. When they do well at a job interview, the reward is sometimes I got the job. It was a positive consequence for a positive interview. And the reward is maybe a meal that they get to eat while they're working. And so we're rewarded and motivated in many different ways. So we just want to help them through those kind of bumps. And particularly, we want to avoid the negative punishment. And it only increases kind of that fear tactic kind of thing. And we want to reduce fear. We want to reduce triggers to fear and anxiety, and bring out the self-confidence, the capability, those kinds of things. Great questions, great engagement. Thank you all very much for attending my webinar tonight on the power struggles and problem solving. Really, really appreciate it. And hope you left with some good ideas for your kids. And feel free to send me a message, send me an email or a phone call. Any questions or follow-up questions you have, I'd be happy to chat. So again, my name is Mitch Lepicello. Thank you, Anna, for supporting the questions and the responses tonight. And thank you all. And if that's it, I will say, oh, you know what I should probably do here? I should probably say one more thing. I should probably go to my ASD parenting journey and connect with me there. now enrolling the parenting in the Calm Compass as a way of getting involved in some of the parenting, the ASD parenting strategies that I talked about tonight. And there is a coupon code for a special off tonight for through Sunday. So if you sign up, it's $97 through Sunday. And that's that. All right, everybody. Thanks again, and good night.